Picture this. A man, alone in the wilderness, his breath heavy, heart racing. In his hand, he clutches what he thought was his ultimate lifeline, a survival knife. But with one decisive strike against a log to clear his path, the blade snaps clean in two. In that moment, his confidence evaporates, replaced by sheer panic. The very tool meant to protect him has just turned into a liability. How many people have fallen into the same trap, believing any blade could save them? It is funny how marketing convinces so many to buy knives that look indestructible simply because they read black-coated, sharp-tipped, and carry some flashy name. On the shelf, they scream toughness, but out in the real world, they crumble under basic tasks like splitting damp wood or carving a notch. I've heard campers share stories of coming home with nothing but a broken handle in their sheath and a useless shard at the bottom of their pack. Design can be deceiving, and trust me, it often is. And here's the chilling part. A lot of these knives are still sold today, marketed as survival ready. Imagine being in a situation where every second counts, only to realize your blade is the first thing to give out. That's what we read digging into design failures that turn tools into traps and real-life stories that prove just how dangerous a bad knife can be. But before we dive into those catastrophic flaws, we need to uncover the first danger, the false sense of security some knives sell better than they perform. Today, we'll uncover the mistakes that can turn your knife into a real danger. First, let's see the most shocking failures. There's a strange charm about survival knives. They carry this aura of invincibility, as if holding one instantly makes you tougher, braver, ready for anything. That illusion is powerful. People buy into it because it feels good to believe they're prepared. But what most don't realize is that this very allure can blind them. The truth? A knife can look like salvation, but behave like betrayal the second pressure is applied. Think of it this way. Not every knife is created with survival in mind, even if the label says so. Some are built for show, not for endurance. Their sleek design might win attention on Instagram or in a store display. But when you restrand it in the woods or trying to cut through thick rope in an emergency, aesthetics won't save you. I once saw a so-called tactical knife fold backward under stress, nearly severing the user's hand. That moment turned the tool from protector into predator. This misconception that any knife is a good knife in survival has cost lives. People assume sharpness alone equals reliability, but survival is about far more than a keen edge. It's about durability, grip, balance, and how a blade responds under pressure. When these elements fail, the knife doesn't just underperform. It actively endangers you. And that's exactly why understanding the darker side of blade design matters. Because once we look past appearances, we uncover flaws that could mean the difference between life and death. And that leads us to the shocking failures buried in the very steel itself. We've seen the danger of trusting just any blade. Now let's discover why deceptive designs lure so many. Not all steel is created equal, and in survival situations, that difference can be deadly. Cheap stainless steel might shine on the shelf, but under stress, it chips, bends, or snaps like a twig. High-carbon steel, if poorly treated, can be just as treacherous, fracturing when you push it to its limits. I remember a story where a camper tried to pry open a rotted crate, and the tip of his supposedly indestructible knife broke off. That single failure turned a simple task into a life-threatening situation. Blade geometry matters just as much as the material. Thin tips, overly intricate curves, or weak grinds may look sleek, but they compromise strength when leverage is needed most. Early survival knives with hollow handles often had full tangs that stopped short, and under force, they failed catastrophically. One hiker I know tried to carve firewood with such a knife, only to see the tip snap mid-cut, leaving him struggling to start a fire in freezing conditions. Form can be beautiful, but if it's not functional, it's a trap. Historical examples are full of lessons for modern users. Designs that seemed innovative hidden compartments, serrated edges. Decorative spikes often created stress points that led to sudden breaks. Even the tactical knives designed for soldiers sometimes failed because the tang didn't run the full length of the blade. It's a harsh reminder. In survival, your knife isn't jewelry. It's a lifeline. And when the steel fails, you're left facing danger with nothing but regret. This is why we can't overlook the handle next, because even the strongest blade can betray you without proper control. We talked about the illusion. Now let us take a closer look at steel and geometry that can fail when lives depend on it. A knife is only as good as the hand that holds it, and a bad handle can turn even the sharpest blade into a liability. Slippery materials, awkward shapes, or hard edges create fatigue, blisters, and a lack of control, which can be disastrous in a critical moment. I've seen hikers drop their knives mid-climb simply because the handle didn't allow a secure grip, turning a simple survival tool into a source of panic. Ergonomics isn't just comfort, it's survival. Then there's the problem with gimmick handles. Compasses, fishing kits, or hollow compartments may sound clever, but they often weaken the structure. The blade may flex, the handle may break, and in the moment you rely on it most, it fails. One adventurer I know trusted a multi-tool handle with a built-in whistle, only to have it snap when forcing a stubborn branch apart. What seemed like innovation became a dangerous trap in his hands. Retention is equally critical. Knives that slip from the hand or lack a proper guard can easily be lost or even injure the user. Survival isn't a stage for showing off flashy grips. It's about control, precision, and reliability. When a knife flies from your hand during a tense moment, the consequences can be fatal. That is why understanding handle design, ISN, optional, it is the difference between staying safe and creating another hazard. And just as a weak handle can betray you, a bad sheath adds another hidden layer of danger. Okay, the blade has already betrayed us, but what about the handle? Let's see what turns a grip into a trap. A sheath isn't just a cover, it's part of the knife's safety system, and a poor design can be more dangerous than a blunt blade. Flimsy materials can tear, crack, or fail under stress, leaving the knife loose and unpredictable. I've witnessed hikers get cut while reaching for a knife that slipped from a weak sheath, turning a routine action into an emergency. In survival, every detail counts, and your sheath is no exception. Noisy or reflective sheaths pose another hidden threat. Imagine sneaking through dense brush and suddenly alerting nearby wildlife or worse, an enemy because your knife's sheath squeaks or shines. One survival course participant learned this the hard way when a reflective surface gave away his position during a night exercise. Stealth may seem secondary, but in high-stakes scenarios, the wrong sheath can undo all your careful preparation in an instant. Environmental durability is often overlooked too. Cheap leather absorbs water and rusts the blade, while plastic can become brittle in cold or crack in heat. I've seen knives ruined simply because their sheath wasn't built for the conditions, leaving adventurers stranded with tools that fail at the worst moment. When selecting a knife, the sheath deserves as much attention as the blade itself, because even the strongest steel is useless if you can't carry or deploy it reliably. And once we understand sheath pitfalls, the next step is learning how these lessons shape the future of survival tools. Now that we've explored blade and handle, it's time for the sheath, a detail that can be deadly if ignored. When you step back and look at all the failures blade, handle, sheath, it becomes clear that survival knives aren't just about sharp steel. The real heroes are tools built for consistency, durability, and comfort under stress. Full tong construction, quality steel, and ergonomic handles aren't optional. They're essential. I always tell students in my survival classes that the most impressive knife is useless if it doesn't respond predictably when you need it most. Selection and training go hand in hand. Owning a top-tier knife won't to save you if you've never used it in real conditions. Practice slicing, prying, and even chopping to understand the limits of your tool. I remember taking a new recruit into the forest with a supposedly indestructible knife, only to see him struggle because he hadn't tested it under pressure. The lesson? Mastery matters more than the marketing hype. Looking ahead to 2025, innovations are addressing past mistakes. New steels, better tang designs, and handle materials that balance grip with comfort are emerging, turning knives into true survival partners. And while technology improves tools, the responsibility still lies with you, the user, to choose wisely, train relentlessly, and never assume a flashy blade is automatically reliable. Once you internalize this, you'll see that understanding these lessons could be the difference between life and death. And it all starts with recognizing the hidden dangers in the tools you carry. So far, we've seen the failures. But how can you spot these traps before they become lethal? Let's check the warning signs. Noticing the warning signs on a knife can save you from disaster before it even happens. Pay attention to the steel. If it bends too easily, chips under light pressure, or has uneven edges, it's a red flag. A knife that looks tough on the shelf may hide a brittle core or poorly treated metal. I've seen adventurers trust shiny stainless steel blades, only to have them crack mid-cut. Recognizing these flaws early prevents relying on a tool that could betray you in the wild. The handle is equally telling. Slippery materials, awkward shapes, or hollow gimmicks like built-in whistles or compasses often spell trouble. Even a sharp blade is useless if your hand can hold it securely when the pressure is on. Watch for discomfort, poor grip, or fatigue after minimal use. A simple test. Practice a few cutting and prying exercises at home. If your hand slips or aches quickly, that knife is more likely to fail under stress than save you. Finally, check the sheath carefully. Does it hold the knife tightly? Does it make noise or reflect light? Does it absorb water or feel brittle and cold? These small details can turn an otherwise good knife into a hazard. Experts always remind me, the blade is only as safe as the sheath that carries it. By learning these red flags, you can choose wisely, test deliberately, and avoid tools that are more danger than protection. And once you've spotted the risks, you're ready to apply everything we've covered in the conclusion, ensuring your knife truly becomes a lifeline. Now that you know the warning signs, you're ready to apply everything and choose tools that truly work. Let's see how the future solves these past mistakes. With all these lessons learned, it's time to put them into action and make your knife a real survival lifeline. So now that you've seen the hidden dangers behind blade materials, handle designs, and faulty sheaths, it's time to ask yourself, is your knife really prepared to protect you, or is it a liability waiting to happen? Think about the last time you relied on a tool without testing it. What could have gone wrong if stakes were higher? I challenge you to check your own gear, inspect every detail, and start practicing with the tools you trust most. Share in the comments. Which knife failures have you experienced, and how did you adapt? Remember, survival isn't just about owning the right equipment. It's about mastering it, understanding it, and training for the unexpected. Don't settle for flashy designs or marketing promises. Apply what you've learned today. Evaluate the steel, test the handle, scrutinize the sheath, and practice under real conditions. Every small improvement could save you from a disastrous moment in the wild. If you want more tips on survival gear, real-life knife tests, and expert strategies to stay safe in critical situations, make sure to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. Don't miss future videos where we expose hidden flaws and reveal the tools that actually work. The question is, are you ready to upgrade your survival game and stop trusting knives blindly?